Live from Alachua, Florida, I'm Amrita Kaylee.
And I'm Namamrita. Welcome to Nectar Talks, from the heart of New Ramanreti, the largest Hare Krishna community in North America and the home of thousands of Bhakti Yoga practitioners.
In our ongoing interviews, we dig deep into our search for loving connections with Krishna and each other.
With you, we hope to uncover the real-life stories and inner journeys of our vibrant community of friends and special guests.
Like bees searching for nectar, we seek to extract pearls of wisdom from how they live their lives and the lessons they can impart to us and our listeners.
If you're seeking nectar, look no further.
All right, let's get started.
Hare Krishna, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for Nectar Talks episode number 11, lucky number 11. Hi, how's everyone doing tonight?
Doing well. Nice to see you, Amrita.
Nice to see you too, Namamrita. Nice to see you, Sruti Sagara.
Good to see you, Amrita and Amrita Puru, and Vaishnavi and Mother Leela.
Jai.
And Ram Rao.
Ram Rao.
So tonight, as you can see, we're hosting a very, very dear friend, Sruti Sagara Prabhu. He is 31 years old and he's the temple president at the Krishna House, which is an extremely active, youthful center right next door to New Ramanreti in Alachua. So he has an incredible story and some really special realizations to share. So we're going to pull them out of you, Sruti Sagara. By hook or by crook. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question, which is, you're 31, you're temple president of the Krishna House. How was your day today?
Well, what's my day today, you said?
How was your day today?
Oh,
Not
day
any
today.
day.
Oh,
what was it like today?
What's my day
It
today?
must have been busy, like so many other days.
It was good. It was productive. It was good. It was busy and had a lot of meetings and talked to a lot of people, and yeah, it was good. It was happening.
Great.
Awesome. I wanted to introduce you a little bit more than that, but I think that we can ask some questions to sort of create a bio for you and your time leading up from when you were born in Bihar, in the state of Bihar in India, until where you are now. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey from Bihar and then coming to and ending up at University of Florida when you were just 18?
Wow, the whole thing, huh? From birth till adulthood.
Oh, look at these!
There he is. For those who are not on video, we have some awesome baby photos of Sruti Sagara Prabhu.
These are priceless.
Yep, this is the middle one's actually in Calcutta. We were there briefly before we moved to Orissa. But yeah, the other ones are in Patna, Bihar, at my grandfather's and grandmother's. And that's my grandmother here, over there. Yeah,
That's
that was
awesome.
In 1990. Oh, yeah.
So you were born in Bihar and then you moved to Orissa, and you were telling me that you visited the Jagannath temple many times, right?
Yeah. I was in this small town. Well, now it's a city, but it used to be a town back then called Balasore. We, since Jagannath Puri is a famous pilgrimage place, we would go there. And there's also the Kirchor Gopinath temple, which is 15 minutes from where I grew up, 15, 20 minutes. And they have the famous Amrita Keli sweet rice. I remember,
so you ate that sweet rice?
I ate that sweet rice and I loved it.
Wow.
I remember going there when I was 4 years old for the first time, and eating that sweet rice, and that was the best thing I've ever had. And I always wanted to go to that temple. So, yeah.
Wow. And then after that, you moved to Delhi when you were in middle school. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was about 13, we moved to Delhi, and I got into high school over there. And it's interesting because the high school I got into, not a lot of people would come to the US for undergrad, but that high school is known for sending, well, prepping their students for the US for undergrad. Most Indians, at least back then, used to come for grad. So it kind of set my trajectory since then, to have that vision like, oh, I could go to the US. They have resources here for me to do that.
Huh. Good to know. So then how did that eventually happen that you moved to the US? At what point did it actually manifest itself?
Yeah, I was in 11th grade and 12th grade, and I was prepping for all kinds of exams that they have in India. They have these entrance exams for universities and colleges. And so I was prepping for those, but I also wanted to have options, and I thought I'll also prep for the US, and I started doing that. Mm-hmm. And it just, as time progressed, it just felt like a better option. And my parents felt the same way. I got into 3 universities. Initially, I chose to go to University of Virginia, actually, UVA. And but my father, with his depth and wisdom, said, "No, go to University of Florida. It's much cheaper."
That is wise, honestly. That's extremely wise.
He's like, "Oh, it's kind of like they have the same programs. Engineering's still good at UF, and so it's cheaper. Just go there." It's like, okay.
Okay, so you went for engineering is what you're shooting for.
That's what I started off as, yes, as a budding engineer from India. Surprising, isn't it?
Can I ask one question about going to school in India? And this is totally coming from like a foreigner. Maybe I'm going to look stupid for asking this question, but do the students really go to the temples and study like when it's exam time? And is that a very common thing? I just heard that about students in India, that when the exams come around, they'll all go to the temples and pray to, I don't know if it's Goddess Saraswati or...
We pray left and right, wherever we can pray. Especially, let me tell you, because our bus, I remember those days because our bus would take us from our home to the school, and between our home to the school in any part of India, you'll find at least 10 temples. And as the bus is going, we would look at the temple and pray, "Please, it's an exam day."
Wow.
So yeah, it's definitely very intertwined in our culture.
Yeah, I love that. I find that great. So how old were you when you finally made the move to the US?
So I was 18. I came by myself and came straight to Gainesville. And that's when I came, 18.
Did you have any family friends in the States?
No, I was the first one to set sail to America from my family.
You were a fob, fresh off the boat.
Yep, fresh off.
What did that feel like? I mean, that's a really big deal to be that young. And I mean, it's a really big deal, actually.
It was quite adventurous for me. It was an adventure, and I was grateful that my parents were paying me to go so far away from them. I was pretty I was like, I'm really gonna go to the other side of the planet. But it was an adventure, and I was jokes aside, I was grateful actually when I got here that they made that sacrifice and gave me such support to come here. But yeah, it was a lot. I mean, there was a little bit of homesickness, but it felt very adventurous, so it kind of balanced itself out.
Yeah, I'm sure I just know from my experience, I moved here from France when I was 19, and I was very homesick. It took me about a couple of years to really get over that. So, and I had family here, so I'm sure being on your own was maybe not so easy. Before we transition totally to life in America, can you tell us a little bit more about the spiritual background of your family, and what kind of practices were there? Perhaps was it like a Vaishnava tradition, or what was your family deity type of thing?
Sure. Our family, few generations back, was actually originally Vaishnavas, and but at some point in time, it kind of morphed into worshiping many demigods, which is very common in India. Most Hindu families worship demigods.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, growing up, but because I grew up in Orissa, Lord Jagannath was a big part of our life. I mean, Jagannath's a huge part of everyone's life in Orissa. So he was a big part. And as I mentioned, Kirchur Gopinath temple it always felt like a special temple. Well, mainly because of the sweet rice. It was so good. But yeah, my family in general is pious. We would often go to temples. Even when in India, you will see often when families go traveling somewhere, they will find the local temples to visit. So that's what we would do also. And yeah, many of the Vaishnava temples, specifically when we went to Tirupati, South India, and I remember Varanasi as well. Those stuck out a lot to me, and of course Jagannath Puri, and some of these temples stuck out to me a lot more than some of the other ones because we would just go to so many temples in India. But yeah, my family is nice. They're Hindus. They're pious. They're equal opportunity worshippers as far as gods and demigods are concerned. So they worship everybody just in case maybe somebody is the supreme one.
Right.
But that's my background. But in general, they're pious. And yeah. Pious.
Okay.
You know, Srutisagara's family were actually the people who hosted me in India when I went to go study my Bhakti Shastri. I got to stay with them, and I remember your dad doing puja in the morning very early, and then taking me to Vrindavan for the first time, the Delhi temple. It was really wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah. So Shruti, I remember living at Krishna House, and suddenly you were on the scene, and I was very new there too. I was living there, I was new, and you started coming around. But I'm trying to remember how that first moment happened, where you sort of made contact with the devotees, and I feel like you kind of just took off running as soon as you got in the door. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, sure. So I got into UF, and back in the day, there used to be this thing called Yahoo groups. So I joined this Yahoo group for Indians going to UF, and it's like a mailing list. And so the devotees here, they used to run this program called the Friday program for Indian students. It was geared for Indian students. And so they went to that Yahoo group and sent out an invite to everybody saying, we have a program on Fridays, please come. We have a PhD candidate, Dr. Manoj Parmar, who's a devotee, Nand Kumar Prabhu. He's giving the Bhagavad Gita classes. And I was still in India. This was 2 weeks before I was going to get to UF. And so I saw that email and I was impressed. And I thought, yeah, sure, I'll come. I actually replied back to that email saying, I'll come when I get there. And when I got here, there was orientation and so many things going on. I totally forgot about Krishna House and the Friday program. But one eventful evening, I was walking to one of the bookstores on 13th Street. Yeah, it used to be where Publix is right now, I believe. There used to be a bookstore there. So I was walking there to get one of the books, and I saw this sign, Northwest 14th Street. And I was like, that sounds so familiar. And back in the day before smartphones, I actually had a little notebook with, I would write down phone numbers or whatever. And so I actually had the address written on it. And I said, that sounds familiar. I looked it up. Oh, it's the Krishna House address, 214 Northwest 14th Street. And I was like, oh, wait, it's Friday. It's 6:30. They're having that program they talked about right now. So instead of going to the bookstore, I went to Krishna House. And I found the Krishna House, and it was interesting because for me, a temple, has a dome and everything. I was, oh, this looks like a house, interesting. I went in, there were some students, Nand Kumar Prabhu was there. And so that was my first time. That's how I found out Krishna House. And then they told me about Krishna lunch and other things. And so that's how I made a good friend there, Jamin, if you remember, Amrita, yeah. So he was there.
Yes.
He's a second-gen Indian American. He was staying at the Krishna House. His parents are devotees. They're all in Canada now. And we became good friends, and he would invite me to programs. We used to have Saturday dinners at the Krishna House. That's where I first met you.
That's right.
The dinner. So he invited me, and I came over. Yeah. So that's how I found out Krishna House and Krishna consciousness. That was the first step.
So how would you define how you went over to that Krishna House program? Where would you situate yourself spiritually at that time? Was it kind of like you were homesick and you wanted to reconnect with some kind of Hindu tradition that you could find over here, or were you already kind of, you know, asking the big questions about life and that's what pulled you? Where would you situate yourself at that time?
I guess reflecting back, a part of me was, I was, you know, one of the 4 people who come to Krishna. I was thinking that I was kind of distressed, not homesick, as you said, and just going through high school and trying to get into Indian universities and American universities was stressful.
Yeah.
So it left me pretty distressed. And then I was here. It was 2008. So recession was going on, and just materialistically, I was saying, oh, you know, how all this things are going wrong. How am I going to get an internship later? I was already thinking about it. So in some ways, in many ways, actually, I was distressed. So it was a relief to find Krishna House, to firstly find a group of Indians and something close to my culture, and they were nice. All the devotees were nice. Yeah, just quick funny note. When I got there, I expected Indian food. I was like, yes, now I get to eat some Indian food. It's been a week. I've been eating whatever dining services provide, you know. And I'm like, yes, waiting for the food. And then you have this huge pot. I'm like, yes, this dal. What is this, sabji? You have the lid. It's pasta. You wanted to make something different today. Like, no. And I think that they never made pasta ever again because the students were disappointed. But but yeah, that was it was nice. It was relief, and also, yeah, it kind of it satisfied a part of me that is thoughtful, which hadn't happened before so much. And I was only 18, and so yeah, definitely a part of me was a little more philosophical and thoughtful, so that it satisfied that as well.
It's so interesting. I mean, like, Namamrita, that was a really good question that hadn't even come to my mind, is where would you place yourself spiritually? Because something changed, something happened where you're on your own, and then what? Like you start hearing the philosophy. Nanda Kumar Prabhu is an extremely learned speaker, and he's also really, really kind and personal. Yeah. So you're hearing him speak, and then you're just, I mean, is it like the things that were a part of your childhood and your adolescence just started clicking, or you were venturing into territory that was unknown to you and you liked it?
It was definitely unknown to me. I had never heard of Lord Chaitanya at all. And in the first talk itself, he talked about Lord Chaitanya. And he was explaining how it's the golden avatar. And I was like, wow, I never heard of all this. So many things definitely didn't click in the first meeting, in the first Friday program. But yeah, just this sense of relief was definitely there. And I can't explain logically why it was there, but of course, I guess I was homesick and this and that, but I suppose it was something deeper, that sense of relief. And it's almost like, okay, I am home now. So I felt like that the first meeting and the subsequent meetings I went to. And
And so how would you say it kind of evolved for you as far as that spiritual philosophy that you kind of discovered? Can you just give a little bit more details on how that evolved over time?
Yeah. For me, I would argue about the philosophy, and I'd ask questions. And I remember asking Kalakanpur, what's wrong with having economic development? We should all have and stuff like that.
Well, what did he say?
Yeah, I got the same question.
Let me see. Let me check.
Oh, there you are, debating, the two of you. Huh?
You see, Prabhu.
That's funny. On my list of questions. I'm trying to remember. What did he say? this was during lunch, so I don't think we had a whole lot of discussion about it. But from what I remember, he said something to the effect that there are more important things to human life, not just economic development. That's the gist of it. It was quite some time ago, so I don't quite remember. I think he kind of just laughed.
Because he's very practical.
Was that?
He's also very practical, right? But
yeah.
I went up to Kalakanta Prabhu one day, and I was in so much distress because we were installing wood floors in our home. And I was like, man, we're putting all this money into wood floors. I'm like, what are we doing, Prabhu? Like, we should be using our money in better ways. And he's like, calm down, my dear friend. Put in your wood floors. You'll be all right.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I guess your question was the journey, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
So the Friday program, and then I kept coming to those Friday programs. And the devotees would talk to me, they would preach to me. I started going to the temple with them, to the Alachua temple. And I think that's where I met Madhumati Mataji and Seshapuru, and I connected a lot with Madhumati Mataji right away. And because yes, similar thing. She's Indian, she met devotees also when she was super young, I believe only 18 or maybe 19. She was in college, but I think she was under 20, so around my age. And then she came to America to be with the devotees. And so yeah, I felt very comfortable with the devotees. And I guess the key turning point was, it's another peculiar yet funny story. Do you want me to tell you?
Yes. Yeah, we'd love it.
So at some point, I didn't go to the Friday programs for like few weeks. And then I used to eat, I wasn't vegetarian, our family wasn't vegetarian, so I used to eat meat, and had bought a meal plan on the campus at UF. And I would just go there, eat whatever I could to just, to stay healthy, to eat something because the vegetables weren't really cooked or whatever. And so I would eat rice, some meat and so forth. And
Western vegetables is basically like broccoli, carrots, and dip.
Yeah, that was really hard for me. I think I lost like 10 or 50, I think 20 pounds or something in the first 2 months. But I used to eat not beef. I would try to avoid beef. That was my thing. Mm-hmm. But one particular day, I was really hungry, and I went to the dining section, and I tried to find a sign which says what kind of meat it is, but there wasn't one. I just ate whatever there was. In the middle of it, I was like, wait a minute, is this beef? Mm-hmm. So I went up to the cook and I asked, is this beef? And he said, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's beef. I was like, oh no, my Hindu dharma is gone. I have eaten beef. What do I do? And I was like, wait, it's Friday. Let me go and ask Nandakumar Prabhu, what can I do to absolve for this sin? Because that was still there, we don't eat cows, so that right. Even though I wasn't Krishna conscious. But in any case, I went, and it was so funny. That particular lecture always stuck out to me because he talked about what's reality and what do we want to believe, and what is the truth and how to discriminate and so forth, and just left an impression. And it kind of opened me up further to because at that point I had a lot of doubts, and I was like, well, how do you know this is true? And how do you know that what I know or have learned from my childhood or what I've been told isn't true? And so the lecture kind of made me more open-minded. Mm-hmm. And so after that, I became even more regular. Actually, I asked him, what can I do to atone for my sins? He said, just keep coming every Friday. I was like, okay, I'll come every Friday and chant Hare Krishna. And then I wanted to be vegetarian, but I paid for a meal plan. That's like the next step, the bigger, the bigger step, I guess, the next step. So they said, well, you can serve Krishna lunch and get a free lunch, because I had already paid on the campus. I didn't want to pay twice for my lunch. So they said, yeah, just come serve and you can get a free lunch. I was like, sure, sounds good. And they said, you can take a little extra for dinner. Like, sure. So after that was, I think October or something, or September. I started serving Krishna lunch every day religiously for an hour and get my free lunch and get back extra for dinner. And then I used to eat on the campus. And then one fateful day, all the prasadam was gone. And so they said, well, you can come to the house, eat with us in the temple room, because we have some lunch for the volunteers and the servers. And so, okay. So I went, and Kalakantru was there, and he reads from the Lilamrita. So that's when I really heard more deeply about Prabhupada and his life. And that when I heard, I don't remember what exactly I heard that particular day, but whatever I heard left an impression. Because then I decided I want to eat my lunch here every day. And just hearing Prabhupada's life story, it left a deep impression. And for me, I felt I might not be able to digest or even believe all of this philosophy right at the moment. But if Prabhupada says something, I'll accept it. I'll analyze it. I'll question it. But if he says something, I'll take his word for it, essentially. I just, from hearing his life story, because at that point, it was in the beginning of the Lilamrita. So it's like hearing his childhood, hearing his struggles, hearing about how he came to America. And, when you were 18, you were kind of naive. So I remember hearing in the Lilamrita, he had 3 heart attacks. And I was like, oh my God, if somebody who survives 3 heart attacks must be a pure devotee. And so, and of course he is, but just my simplicity, my simple thought process. Somebody who endured so much must be a great person, and of course he is. But yeah, that really left a mark on me. Just hearing about Prabhupada's life, and I felt a sense of loyalty to him since then. Actually, so that was a big step for me. And and then after a few months, well, in spring and then summer, I moved into Krishna. I wanted to try it out for the summer, so I moved into Krishna House.
Okay, so you ended up moving in. What would you say is the next milestone after you moved in? Did you get the engineering degree?
Oh,
this is a great question. I like this.
My next milestone was not doing well in engineering at all. My next milestone was that after the first semester was great. I did well in classes, and I was fairly good at the Krishna House in terms of coming to the morning program, and it was nice. It was fun. I liked everybody liked me. We had a lot of fun. But the next semester, all of a sudden, all these emotions started coming up. It was like, when the holy name turns your heart, and all these, the first thing that comes out is all this mess, and all these strong feelings. And I was like, I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I talked to Kalakantru, and I actually went to a therapist for about a year, I think. And I went to this devotee therapist, and a lot of stuff from childhood came up, and I had to face it. I had to deal with it. And it wasn't anything too heavy, but for me, it was heavy. But looking back, I'm like, oh, Shruti, why were you so disturbed? But in that moment, it was a big deal, and there was a lot of purification. And so all that came up, and it was amidst my studies. So my studies were kind of hampered. And so that was, that was like the process was working. It was turning my heart, and I had to realize more and more who I am and who I want to be, and just seeing the value in Krishna consciousness more and more. It was definitely doing something.
This is a really big deal, because it's not just that you decided you didn't want to continue with engineering. You wound up becoming, you have a career inside of ISKCON. You're not merely an initiated devotee who has a job outside. Krishna took you to that crossroads, and this is where you are now. Right? So did that begin sort of around that time? Did you have some understanding at that time that this might be something that you would want to end up doing?
I mean, for me, the reason Krishna consciousness made even so much sense was because I saw Prabhupada did something. Well, he did a lot for others' welfare. That was always my. It was always my drive, that there has to be something more to life than just, I don't know, accumulating wealth or just thinking in your own terms. I guess that it was something very innate for me, that we must do something for others. And so when I saw what Prabhupada, his definition of welfare for others and how he did it, as I mentioned, it left a mark. And so for me, I feel like that's when it really started. Like, for me, it was simple. I want to do something for Prabhupada. I wasn't thinking, I want to be the 10th president of Krishna House, or like, I want to be do a big project. I was like, I really want to do something for Srila Prabhupada. Of course, as a 19, when I'm still young, but more naive and more gullible or whatever, then you think, I really want to change the world in 18 days for Srila Prabhupada or something of that sort. That was just my drive. I really wanted to do something for Prabhupada's movement because he did so much, and I just felt a strong sense of loyalty. So that kind of, it definitely, that's where I suppose it started, that trajectory to, I just want to do something for Prabhupada, in whatever way, small or big,
That's so wonderful that you, I guess, understood Prabhupada so well and developed such a connection with him and his life and offering and mission that it affected you in such a powerful way. So I guess, how did that manifest itself? You had this desire, you want to do something for Prabhupada. So what came next on that level?
Well, as a student, I guess I restarted the Bhakti Yoga Club we used to have at the
That's right.
campus, and we started doing some programs on the campus, and
yes, that's right.
we had a Festival of India, we arranged that, and then I started learning harmonium, do more kirtan. Bala Hare Prabhu taught me harmonium. That was sweet. And I would try to do as much outreach, whatever little ways I could, talk to people one-on-one, and in my own way, I would try to do that and study as much as I could. Or my thing was listening, actually. My thing was hearing the lectures. So I would hear a lot of lectures, not very academic, so it's hard for me to study Shastra and all that, but I would listen to lectures. So that's how it went in college. And then after college, it was, it was also another interesting transition into my project in DC area, because I ended up studying political science, and my parents weren't happy at all, and they just wanted me to come back from after my undergrad and just come back to India and get a government job, because we figured that what would you do with a poli-science degree as an immigrant? It would be really hard to do something here, really. And so, but just, I don't know, we can call it providence. And I met Anuttama Prabhu, and I thought, well, I could do an internship for ISKCON Communications before I go to India. So he said, yeah, sure, come on in, And I said, okay, I'll come to the DC area. And so I went there, and then President Ananda Vrindavan Mataji, she was really, she's a dynamic leader. She has a lot of vision, and she's great. So she wanted to do something along the lines of Krishna House. So she was talking to Kalakanta Prabhu, and Kalakanta Prabhu said, well, Sruti Sagara is already going to be there in the DC area, and we might as well have him, work with him and do something there. So, and this one devotee was willing to let us use he had a condo near the University of Maryland. And so we were going to use that and just do some outreach from there. And so that's how it kind of transitioned into doing outreach. And my plans to going back to India just kind of
dwindled away.
My parents weren't happy. So was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that my parents weren't happy at all. They tolerated my Krishna consciousness while I was in college, but they blamed it for not being able to do engineering. And then later, when I even started doing outreach full time, that was my dream while I was in college, because I felt like, I can't do this full time right now because I have to be doing my undergrad so that I can stay in America for my visa. Visa is linked with the studies, so I can't just drop out of school. I might have if I was not an immigrant, actually, but
it's good that you were then.
I'm glad I didn't, actually, but by any case, and then, but after that, I was like, yeah, I can do this full time, you know, I can just dedicate all my energy to this. My parents weren't happy. We didn't talk for quite a bit, actually. We would talk here and there a few times in the year, and I didn't want them to lecture me. And I'm not just saying this is the best way to go about it, but that's what happened. And, but I had made up my mind, and I stood my ground, like, this is what I want to do. And so, and at some point I did do some courses and to work towards a master's. So that kind of appeased them. Partly I did it so that it will appease them a bit. but yeah, they simply tolerated me and my plans for outreach.
And you were doing wonderful things there. What I was going to say earlier was that Leela Kishore, my husband, and I had the opportunity to come and visit you. That's where you met Nanda Nandana Prabhu, who we interviewed recently. He's just like the coolest hero of ours. And you were doing Krishna lunch. You had people living in the house. You were doing morning programs every day. You had programs at the University of Maryland. It was University of Maryland was the name of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really, really dynamic project that you had going, and you were there for 3 or 4 years. Is that correct? Before moving back to Krishna House?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
awesome.
Yeah, I remember all the buddy passes around that time.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember
back and forth.
Thank you. I'll always be grateful.
No, I'm so happy I can help in any way.
Oh, I was like, what are buddy passes? This is something to do with the plane, isn't it?
That's something we don't disclose in public.
I know. I was surprised you said
all right.
This isn't live or anything, so what does it matter?
No. So you did the 4 years in Maryland, and I mean, did that project ever hold its ground, or?
It didn't. We had a property, and we were going to set it up as Krishna House, but our funding, our source of funding stopped, so we lost the property. And then we were doing Krishna lunch on the campus, and another devotee did continue it after some time until COVID, and then it was just small. It was too small to keep doing it during COVID and post-COVID. So it did kind of dwindle away, but I keep in touch with some of the students who we cultivated over there.
Okay.
Wow.
So then
Krishna had his plans for you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to find out. So you came back to Krishna House after that, right?
Yeah.
I want to maybe fast forward a little bit, because we do want to get into some of the topics, like the title of this show and things like that. But I'm sure a lot of our listeners are curious to learn about the organizational structure at Krishna House. So maybe just tell us very quickly how you eventually became the temple president, and a little bit about, what's the structure of the Krishna House? What are the different departments? And what's your involvement today?
Sure. So this basic structure is we have the ashram leaders who take care of outreach and recruiting and cultivating the students. And so there's devotees, and there's ashram leaders, men and women, to take care of them. Or they also call Bhakti Academy directors. Bad. And bad. The Bhakti Academy directors. And then we have the general manager, who just takes care of delegating services and maintenance of property and so forth. And then we have the Krishna lunch manager, who just deals specifically with Krishna lunch, and she has her own staff with her, like the purchasing manager for the boga, the cooks, the cleaners. She has a whole set of staff. Sometimes it's the devotees from the house are doing it, or she hires people from outside. And that's the main management. Oh, there's of course Marjit is our treasurer and secretary. Kalakanpu is our chaplain, and so that's our main team. And then we have a board of directors, of course, who's there. They meet once in a few months and just kind of strategize. And there's the bigger picture.
Right.
So that's primarily, it's a fairly small organization. So yeah, it's pretty much that's all there is to it.
And how? Go ahead.
I was just thinking about the Bhakti Academy, right? As a part of the Krishna House, because as a student who was a part of the Bhakti Academy, it really gave me a sense of accomplishment over my education. Like there's some formality to it. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Is he here?
Yeah.
I can't see you.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
The Bhakti Academy, yeah, we have a formal application process, and we vet all the applicants, and we get applications from different places. And yeah, it's fairly structured, and we have a curriculum for the morning, we have a curriculum for the evening classes. There's full-time Bhakti Academy students who do service and live at the Krishna House. And then there's part-time Bhakti Academy students who might be college students, or who might just graduate and work outside for a bit. And so normally they just pay tuition to be at the Bhakti Academy. And so those are the two kinds of students at the Bhakti Academy. And of course, the Bhakti Academy directors are there who, it's really based very similar to a lot of the Christian models, actually, because they have like youth ministers who do, fun activities on the weekends. So it's kind of similar to that from what I've actually seen over the years, that, yeah, they have that kind of stuff to organized fun activities or educational activities on the weekends, organized youth trips to, like, in the end of the semester, end of the year, we normally used to go to Festival Inspiration. We still go to New Vrindavan. I think now Sachin Maharaj had his festival there. So we go for that, and we try to expose the new devotees to all these various temples and centers where they could go to next after their phase at Krishna House, and or go and set up a center somewhere, or go do book distribution on the road. So we try to take them to these and then we go to Texas as well, that in that direction in the December break. So that's the Bhakti Academy, and it essentially what Bhakti Academy's goal is to give a structured path so that the devotees, the students, can learn how to stay in Krishna consciousness once they're moved out of Krishna House. The main things, like japa, and the philosophy, and Srila Prabhupada as the founder of Acharya, these main things, we really want them to imbibe it as much as they can in their lives, so that, yeah, when they move out, they can carry that with them wherever they go.
Just so intelligent, the way it's been put together. I'm always fascinated when I hear about Krishna House. Would you say you're taking on a position of leadership, especially temple president? How's that learning curve been for you? Was it gradual throughout the years that you've been there, and you kind of came to it naturally, or was it a really steep learning curve? Tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
So 2017, when I came back to be the ashram leader as one of the Bhakti Academy directors, and then I became the general manager next semester, and then the TP the next semester. So it was, in one sense, it was a little steep, but since I had stayed at Krishna House as a student, it gave me, for 4 years actually, it gave me a lot of muscle memory, or it just helped me a lot to just go about things where easily. I didn't have to, some things I already just knew that's how you do things. And actually my experience in Maryland was also very helpful. And because we had to do, a lot of admin stuff. I had to handle for our little nonprofit, handle our little finances, but whatever it was, I did have to handle it and deal with banks and go to Devotee for donations and set up a donation platform, just all that admin stuff. And I just had to think of it, and because it was just me and Nanda, so we just had to think of everything and just go out and do it. So it was very pioneering, and it helped me a lot. And or just to establish, we set up a nonprofit ourselves. We didn't have enough money to hire a lawyer, so I just did the paperwork myself. And just to have that, it really helped actually for this service. And the service is two ways. It's like, in one sense, material and spiritual. There's the administrative aspect, and then there's the spiritual pastoral care aspect. So there have been no hurdles at all. I'm just kidding. I just took off. There have been plenty of hurdles, especially last year with COVID. last year, just to give an example, I'm a very straightforward person. So I had 5 mediations last year, because last year was intense. And so just mediations come, and it's mostly around relationships and with the staff and how to go about things.
So mediation between staff members?
No, between me and some of the staff members.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And I share this because it's real life, and I don't feel bad about it either. And it only made us grow, each person, and they're all still on the staffs, and nobody got.
And so are you.
Yeah, and there were some really tough decisions I had to make actually. Yeah. So some of the decisions were really hard, and I had to make them, and I didn't like making those decisions and being kind of put on the spot, but it was my service, so I did it.
Yeah.
So it's at some points it was gradual, but at some point it was just really steep.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that about some of those obstacles that come up, and how you guys went about it. I think that's just so responsible, and of course, that's we're always going to run into these things. What was the title of this episode again? Something about
Sruti Sagara.
That's a good time to transition into that.
It's a seamless transition, because this is the perfect time. And Sruti, you came up with this. You said there's a dichotomy between spirituality and institution, right? Yeah. So we have, we're learning about Sruti Sagara, the devotee, and then there's Sruti Sagara, the temple president, and we're wondering, do you feel?
Oh, wait.
What is it?
No, then there's Sruti Sagara, who's, what was it? An Indian body, but with a white American on the inside.
Inside. That's what I am.
A coconut.
Yeah, Sruti Sagara, the coconut. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what that means to you.
Yeah, I feel like
dichotomy.
Over the years,
and what is a dichotomy? I don't know.
The dichotomy, sure. I feel like over the years, I've lived in 2 worlds. There's my 1 foot in India and 1 foot in America. And culturally, they are so diverse. In India, I was listening to a lecture by Ravindra Prabhu recently, and he was talking about acharyas, the acharya system in India back in the day. And I could relate to it. I was like, yeah, exactly. That's how we treated our teachers, or any authority for that matter. He or she's an acharya. The parents are an acharya on several subject matters. And so that I come from that culture where authority is taken very seriously. And institutions are taken very seriously. And now you come to America where, there's authorities it's a whole different culture. It's not, Americans might not take authorities very seriously, or they're looked down upon for that matter, actually. And it's just a whole different culture. And so for me, I feel like over the years, there is this dichotomy where a part of me, it's built in, where I'm like, oh no, this is an authority, like I got to do like this. But over the years, I feel like I've transitioned into, no, I want to have a relationship with people, and be an authority or whoever. No, I want to have a personal relationship, and then it just makes a lot more sense. And to find that balance, and not just because such and such is an authority, but we have a relationship, and also just to have a relationship, and also the other aspect being that even if we don't have a relationship, to have that respect for that person, because I'm sure he or she has done a lot of service or has had several experiences. So just to be personal enough to see that as well. So for me, that's the dichotomy, I guess, for me, if that's the right word, to balance that, to balance not just total passive, blind obedience to somebody, and at the same time not just rejecting them either, because I don't have maybe a strong relationship yet. But there's that dichotomy, which also plays out into spirituality and institutions in the bigger picture. I don't know if this makes sense, but that's what I was thinking about on this topic, that fine balance. And for me, I feel like, when Prabhupada said, ISKCON is my body, as each day passes, that statement makes more and more sense to me, because I feel that as long as the mood is that we want to follow in Prabhupada's footsteps, and we want to establish Prabhupada's teachings, and for me, it doesn't matter if it's an institution or not. If that mood is there, then for me, like, that's great, because that's personal. It's not just a bureaucratic corporation. No, we are worshiping Prabhupada. He did so much for everybody, and this system is in place. It's subservient, essentially, to a person. And it's not just an entity by itself. It's not just a 501c3 legally authorized by the IRS. You get your tax write-off. But it's actually, a living body. It's Prabhupada's body. And then it's a living body of Prabhupada. Again, I'm talking a lot. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, it's an insight for me that, sometimes we say, okay, we're the soul, we're not the body. But we have to take care of our body, right? In so many ways, you can't just neglect the body, because they're together and they're working in harmony. So I kind of hear it from that perspective, where, in so many ways, an institution might seem like such a headache that we just don't even want to get involved with. But at the same time, without that, maybe personally we might be able to survive and keep on going. But I mean, there's just so much, obviously, that Prabhupada has given us. So many of us wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for his institution. So it's a really, really interesting analogy, actually. I never really focused in on that when you said that ISKCON is his body.
And it hits me more and more. And it makes me think of, I remember hearing in the lecture how Ravindra Sruprabhu was saying that originally it was this acharyas. There was an acharya and everybody followed them. And then he chose the next acharya. But then with Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada, they established the GBC and wanted to have something more institutional, because they felt that's what, that body, as you said, will carry the spirit. It's not the best setup. But at the same time, Bhaktisiddhanta was so ahead of his times. He established a GBC, which Ravindra Sruprabhu said in the lecture that in those times when the Indian Railways was established by the British, they had a GBC, Governing Body Commission. And I was like, whoa, I've never heard of that. That's so cool. And so Bhaktisiddhanta is just so progressive. He was like, this is the latest management strategy. And he took it. And he just took it and he went with it. And and I feel like ISKCON also, will have to keep up with times and evolve to meet people's needs, meet how the society is at the time, and make managerial changes. And every organization needs to go through organizational change. I mean, that's just a no-brainer that it has to. So the body will have to evolve so as to keep the spirit going along. That's
right.
I do have a question. I'm thinking about you and the different hats that you might have to wear as a devotee who's relatively young and coming in. We're coming into our own in our devotional life, and we're very much, in this process of sort of deepening our Krishna consciousness at the earlier stages of our journey. So when I feel like what you're expressing is that your service to the institution, your service to Srila Prabhupada's body is such an inherent part of your devotional growth. But do you feel like there's a difference between you as a devotee internally and you as a manager, or are they kind of inextricably connected for you?
I mean, right now they're very connected. But me as a devotee, and for me, that's the main thing, me as a devotee, because it's like, I want to do something for Prabhupada. And right now, at this point in time, he has given me this service, which is very involved managerially. and later he might give me something else. Krishna might give me something else. So for me, I just look at it like, Krishna, I want to help with Prabhupada's mission. And so, yeah, please help me. Yeah, please help me do something towards that. And yeah, right now it's as the TPA Krishna, the town president, and maybe later it'll be something else. But yeah, they are intertwined. But for me, I feel like I mostly focus me as a devotee, really.
Do you have any long-term personal goals at this point, or are you just kind of living in this present service and not really thinking about what might come next?
Yeah, for me, as I mentioned, my drive is that my life should be of service to some extent. So be it.
I cut out there. Sorry.
Sorry.
You probably kept on, but I missed the last 30 seconds or so.
I just said my drive is to be of service one way or the other. So be it, especially in the Hare Krishna movement, it makes a lot of sense. This is the best welfare for all humanity. But also, if I see myself branching out, it will be nice if I can do something which is connected with service. Social work or chaplaincy or some business that is connected with some nonprofit perhaps. And my dream is that Hare Krishnas are seen as like what do they call it? Torchbearers? Yeah, torchbearers of society where they're out there and helping people in numerous ways. And that's why, like last year with the pandemic, I strongly felt, I was like, we must do something right now. If we don't do something right now, it'll just be a huge loss. So we said, okay, we want to do lunches for hospitals and for those in need. So we did that. And
nice.
And it's just it's something very innate to me that, yeah, we should be out there. Not necessarily that being recognized by the mainstream, but part of mainstream, like, yeah, these people are great. They are out there helping people in numerous ways. And sometimes it's difficult for people to relate to our mission of preaching and saving souls. But there's other ways like where, they might relate to. And that's my vision, that hopefully I could do that in the future. But I guess I don't have any particular career plans per se, but that's where my drive is. Or
yeah. What about for Krishna House? Do you have, like you said, you guys, you did the lunch for healthcare workers and all that. Do you have any goals for this upcoming year or, the next 5 years for the Krishna House?
Well, yeah, we really want Krishna Lunch to be even more. This is the 50th anniversary of Krishna Lunch, actually. We're going to have celebrations of Prabhupada's arrival to Gainesville and on the campus. That'll be on July 29th at the plaza. And for me, for Krishna House, we really want Krishna Lunch to go on for another 50 years, another 500 years, the 10,000 years, the golden. So in that light, we're working towards a bigger facility on the property, take down one of the houses and have a bigger kitchen and a dining area. And then above that have like about 20 rooms. That's what we're working towards. We already have the plans made, and we will have the groundbreaking ceremony on July the 31st.
Oh, so that's happening.
It's happening. Yeah. That'll be this month. And we just want to set the intention that, this is what we want to do for Srila Prabhupada. And right now there's so many people who want to stay at Krishna House. It's actually, it's hard to keep up, especially it's mostly because of the pandemic. After a whole year of lockdown or whatever, everyone's like, we want to do something cool and be at Krishna House. So and a lot of young people, they have remote jobs now, and it's for them, it makes sense to like, okay, I can try ashram life right now for a little bit.
Wow.
Now, when you say these people, what's the demographic? Are these, what percentage of students, what percentage is, next generation devotees?
I would say, it's a mix. It's a big mix. There's definitely the next second generation devotees, And there's definitely like brand new, somebody got a book and they want to move into Krishna House.
Yeah.
And then there's, there's Indians who have been into Krishna, who have been in touch with Krishna consciousness a little bit and want to take the next step. So it's really a diverse group. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many students are there right now, or residents?
Residents, about 20 to 25, I believe. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on getting through the pandemic and breaking ground on the expansion. That's really amazing news.
And all of you are, of course, invited.
Yeah, I hope I can make it for sure. So are you ready? We're going to take you into our little fun zone of the interview here.
All right, sure.
Go ahead, Amrita Kayla. You're better than me at this stuff.
What, at starting rapid fire?
Yeah.
Okay, Srutisagara for rapid fire key.
All right.
Woohoo! All you have to do is woo. No, Amrita, I don't know what's so hard.
Woohoo!
Then you got it.
I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. All right, so we'll alternate. Go for it.
Okay, it's your first day off in 2 weeks. What do you do?
I go to the beach.
Ah.
If you had to guess what you were in your most recent past life, what would that be?
If I had to guess, I was a New York Jew. I
knew this was the answer.
That is so funny.
He did a past life regression at Krishna House years ago.
I can't guess anything else, sorry.
That's too good. You and Brahmatirtha.
Yeah.
You have 1 month off. Where do you go?
1 month off. India. I haven't been there in 10 years, so yeah.
Where would you go in India?
Delhi and Vrindavan. Actually, no, I changed my answer. Mayapur. I haven't been to Mayapur, so I'm gonna go to Mayapur.
Nice. You're on a deserted island for the rest of your life. What is the one food that you're gonna bring with you?
One. Yeah.
I missed it. What was it?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Oh my God.
A movie, of course he means care of you guys. Right. If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be? A thriller, a drama, comedy, slapstick, horror, romantic comedy, sci-fi?
We got that off of Google, just so you know.
Okay. What did he say? Sci-fi, thriller? No, it'll be a drama. Of course it's a drama.
A drama.
Yeah.
Name 2 things on your bucket list.
2 things on my bucket list. Ooh, like right now? Bucket list?
Right now.
Right now. I'll get my place set up. I moved into my home, so I get that set up. And then what's the other thing? Just the Krishna House building, get that up.
What about
that's a self-satisfied person right there.
All right.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, name someone that you admire and why.
Well, I definitely admire Kalakantapuru for tolerating me. For just his grace and patience and kindness to so many devotees. Yeah.
Nice. What profession would you be if you had never become a devotee?
I would be a government officer somewhere, government servant. Yeah.
Yep.
What annoys you the most, Srutisagara?
Oh, there's so many things. When people don't close the doors behind them.
Ooh, I'll share that with you.
All right, last one. What have you done that you're the most proud of?
The most proud of that even when the Maryland project wasn't working out, I remember praying to Krishna, that Krishna, whatever you want. It was a realization, and I feel like, I was if not proud, I guess very happy that I felt that way at one point, at least in my life.
Yeah. That's great. actually, that ties into a question I wanted to ask you, which is, what are some of the big realizations that you could say you've gotten out of your service? Whether it's philosophical or about relationships. What are some of the big things that you've learned, or just one?
Sure. I mean, that was, I guess, one that I just said. One of the realizations from the whole, from my Maryland experience was that, and I guess it ties back into the spirituality institution a little bit. It's like that you do want to show people that you care. And I feel like, that was a realization for me that Kalkan often says that it's always people over projects. And so based on that, I feel that, I do want to always show people the best as much as I can, that I care. And sometimes I have to give them some tough news or bad news. But I kind of brainstorm a bit like, no, I want to care about this person, and I also want to care about Krishna House and how do I show my care to this person? And so that is one exercise that I try to do that has come up, through the service. And it's that, being personal essentially, and not just, especially in a voluntary religious organization.
Right. That's wonderful. Yeah. What a nice reminder that we need to always keep that in the forefront. Shall we skip to the last little topic there, Amrita, or did you have anything else before that?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted. Whatever she's saying, she's very blissful about it. I could tell.
I'm blissfully meditating on the future, the present of the movement, and the future, and that I'm just in reflective mode. So if you want to ask another question, I'm ready to, please go ahead.
I just had one little question at the end here. I wanted to ask you, we have these two amazing communities. We have Krishna House and New Raman Reti. What's your relationship with the temple here in Alachua?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, with the temple, it's because of my service. I don't get to go to the temple very often, but I have a lot of love and respect for all the devotees who do so many nice activities at the temple with the festivals, and especially when I do get to go to the temple and I'm able to take darshan of Radhesham and Varnita and Krishna Balaram, it's filled with awe how much devotion goes into serving them. You can just feel it. You can totally feel it. And then with the community, I have friends, who I love to connect one-on-one and talk to them. I go to their houses or they come here. And I've got Pandit Prabhu, I have Sham Kishore, Rasamrita, and their son. I love Kunja. And and Ganasham is there now, and Veerbhadra. And I just connect with them, and many others. I just connect with them one-on-one, and we just share stories, and so that's my main connection with the temple and the community, and very grateful for that.
That's great. Yeah, I always remember on Sundays there's usually a van of Krishna House devotees that come, and I guess I'm thinking of previous years before you were the TP, but I just remember dancing with you guys, and you just brought so much energy during the kirtan, and I always loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much. This was really insightful. Thank you for sharing, your life experiences, your background growing up in India, and how you eventually, connected to the Krishna House and the services you've taken on. It's really inspiring. And thank you so much for the service that you're providing, and also your personal example and how you process things, the lessons you've learned, how you're going about it. I find it all really admirable.
Thank you so much, Namrita. It's so sweet to have known you for so many years, and we have our buddy pass relationship. But yeah, there were so many points in time we would talk and at the Krishna House or here and there, and it was always very pleasant, and it was very thoughtful and deep whenever we would get to.
Yeah. No, I really miss. I used to spend a lot more time at the Krishna House. Actually, what's the current policy? Are you open to the public or not yet?
We not quite yet. We'll open up in August. We're just kind of tagging along with UF, and
okay,
not quite it, but in about a month and a half when UF opens up fully.
Okay.
Semester. But yeah.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Mm. Well, this was awesome. I just want to say thank you so much. And when you're recounting some stories from our younger days at Krishna House, it reminded me of when we hear stories of Prabhupada disciples talking about when they were kids, and that enthusiasm and that oh, my baby's ready for bed, that fun that was had, that's at Krishna House. That's happening right now. We called it like a spiritual sorority, a spiritual fraternity house. Yeah, totally. But at the same time, there's such a solid educational backing, and like you said, a basis in real relationships. And that mood that you're developing is something that it just makes me so deeply humbled to see you doing it and to see where it's going and to call you a friend. I mean, it's an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly Pro. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Our next talk is going to be Amrita Kelly's one-on-one interview with Pracharananda Prabhu, who is part of the BI. He's a devotee scientist, and he's also teaching the science class at Bhaktivedanta Academy. So we'll be looking forward to that. And a little sneak, what do you call it? Preview. I'll just say this, that we're going to have a new host joining our team. And I'm not going to reveal who it is yet.
A third host
for Nectar Talks. We're still putting it together, but I think it's really going to boost what we're trying to do. It's going to expand the variety of guests that we can get on board, and we're really excited about it.
This is going to be huge. Huge.
Don't say it like that, Mr. Kelly.
You're going to do the hands.
Don't. Stop it.
Okay.
I don't know how it goes.
Right here. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna, Sruti Sagara Prabhu.
Haribo.